Hello, I'm Katie Roberts, and I'm a communications and marketing consultant with Right On Point Communications. I'm meeting this morning with David R. Edwards, who worked his way through school eventually to achieve a BA in business and an MBA in healthcare administration. He served mostly lower income people on 3 continents over the last 35 years. He's familiar with the challenges and unfairness of life. In 2018, while working with doctors, dentists, counselors, and community healthcare workers, he had an epiphany. The core challenge most people have is to generate the personal drive to direct their own life, enduring principles to guide, and the most current science-based tools to assist them through a bumpy and messy life. His first book, Knew You, Who Knew, is an attempt to put in writing an easy to digest and implement guide that builds confidence, esteem, and self-compassion and balance. So hello, Dave, and it's nice to get together with you. We've worked together in the past, and I'm a big fan. I want to hear about your book. So let's just kind of kick off and tell me a little bit about who is your target audience for this book?
Hi, Katie. Thanks. And I appreciate your doing the interview. As I have served throughout most of my career, I've mostly served more vulnerable populations and those earning lower than, say, a median income. And so as I kind of built off of this epiphany and continued to do the research to kind of fill out the ideas, I really wanted to continue to serve a population earning below the national median income, which is around $65,000 last time I checked. Okay. That's really my target audience. These people have to get more done with less. So they have to be smarter about it. They have to be more focused. And frankly, it's a little more sacrifice, but it is possible to get ahead still.
Okay, so you kind of described your ideal reader a little bit to me. Is there anything else you want to add about who you really want reading this book and who you envision to benefit?
Well, the folks I think will get the most out of my book are people who feel like they have a lot of challenges in life. They have more barriers, if you will, to overcome, and they will benefit tremendously by going through the book, doing the exercises, and aligning their efforts with natural laws that control how we work as human beings and how we work and interact with each other. And I think by gaining that alignment, they're going to be more successful and more effective than they've ever been in the past.
Okay, great. And why now? Why is this book, why did you get excited and inspired to write this book right now?
Well, some of that's just timing. I was doing this work and I had this like wow moment, my epiphany. And then led me to doing more research and more reading and more dialogue. And so some of that's just when it happened. But then, frankly, the pandemic hit. And anytime you have major changes in the economy or in life, like a pandemic or big upturns or downturns in the economy, people who are earning less than the median income are disproportionately and negatively impacted. And so it felt to me like this timing couldn't have been better. It's nothing that was, I planned, but, in the light of a pandemic and all the stuff that's going on, I think the timing is ideal.
Okay, and why would people buy this book? I mean, what's going to make them go out there and get it?
Well, as our parents all told us, life isn't fair. And I think you would buy this book because it helps you do more than just gripe and complain about life being not fair. It gives you a leg up. It gives you a foundation on which you can build that aligns your life with correct principles and guides you to become the captain of your own life, to rise above your circumstances, and to be more effective.
I like that, captain of your own life. I mean, we hear that a lot. So there are a lot of self-help books out there. I know you read a ton of them. You're very well-versed in all kinds of business, leadership, self-help books. Why is this book different? What makes it unique?
I think there's a few things that stand out. So amongst them is that the book is written to the particular market that we already talked about. Most people want to write their books to the up and coming upper middle class, college graduates, MBAs, et cetera, et cetera. And I've specifically chosen to write my book for the people that frankly could use it the most. I think another thing that makes it unique is that it's the only book on the market that has identified these 10 principles, and it introduces them in sequential order so that it kind of builds naturally. If you think about one step by the next step by the next step. And it's the only book that has those 10 principles all in the same place, written in an introductory way. So this isn't the master course. This is the introduction to each of the concepts so that you can get a hold of it. And I think another thing that's unique about it is that I really invite you, even urge you to think. I don't want you to read the chapter and go, oh, that's nice, that was good. And, now I'll get back to whatever. I really desperately want you to think about it, because it is the process of thinking. It's like mental exercise, if you will, right? If you want to have a strong core, you're going to do sit-ups and planks and stuff like that. And that's the way muscles work, right? They have to be exercised. And it's not muscle in your brain, but it's very similar in the process. And in that, in as much as you use your brain, especially here in the prefrontal cortex, which you can see I have a lot of, nothing to cover it. Anyways, the more you use it, the stronger it gets, right? The scientists call it plasticity. And so the more you use it, the stronger it gets and the more natural it becomes to use it. So some of the things I ask you to do may feel kind of unnatural at first, so they're more difficult, but I promise it, just like doing sit-ups over time, they get easier, you can do more and more, you get stronger, and your mind builds these pathways that become paths, roads, highways, and then superhighways over time, right? This all takes time, and everything gets easier. So it really invites you to use the natural way that your mind works to strengthen your own ability, your own capability as you become the captain of your life.
Okay, great. And so I was struck by, there's a lot of powerful little wisdoms and very strong sayings in this book. What's one of your favorite ones, and tell me a little bit about it and why?
So I've always felt that values are important, right? The things that we hold dear that are important to us. But as I researched what became the first principle in the first chapter of the book, I was amazed at how much science, right? Not just the philosophers, but scientists have studied values, and they've done research on the benefits of both first understanding and then making explicit your values, and probably third, living according to your own values. And the benefits to people are really off the charts. They find people that go through this process, their sense of well-being goes up. So that just sense of like, my life is on track, I'm going in the right direction, improves and increases. The amount of regret you have in life decreases, right? So regret is kind of like a weight, it hangs on you, and you can take that weight off by reducing regret. And also, it helps you drive, or is a foundation to your motivation. So we think about personal motivation, drive, we describe it in different ways, but it's what gets you up in the morning and encourages you to take some kind of action or activity. And when you understand your values and you're striving to live them, you align motivation. And so you actually get more done, and you get things done that you want to do, not necessarily all that other peripheral, kind of sidecar baggage that we seem to fill our lives with.
Great. Okay, how about if I'm reading this book, what's a little bit of a maybe a tip that would help me as I read this book?
Well, I tried to write a couple of things down here. Because my memory is as good as what I put on paper.
Yeah.
It seems like.
You know, as I go about reading it, like, is there something I need to do with my own self and my own mindset to be open or interested in this book, or is it just going to kind of speak to me on its own?
Well, it's interesting, and I really appreciate it. I've had several professional editors go through the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't quote them because that's my agreement with them. I can't, but so I guess I won't. But they said some very nice things about making the book could be very relatable to most people.
Okay.
And so as somebody goes through the book, I think a really important thing is to never feel bad about where you're at,
Okay.
right? Because where you at, where I'm at, is a simple fact. It's neither good nor bad, right? We can do ourselves a favor by not judging it and just saying it is where I'm at. It's a accumulation of all outside influences and all my past decisions, but it's gone, it's done, it's past, and there's nothing I can do about it. So what I've got is today and what I do with my time and my decisions and choices right now. And so I would say take it slow. That's probably the best thing. And people ask, well, where do I start? I specifically designed the book to be build on itself, like I mentioned earlier. And so I would frankly read the introduction and I would set it aside, think about that. Does it resonate with you? Kind of what sticks out to you in there? Does it make sense? And then do chapter 1 and follow the PQ4R process, which I describe in the book. And if you do that, I think you will have a better experience, recognizing that 90 some odd percent for some of you, that might hear this, it might be 90%. Some of you, it's 99% of your time is tied up. It's not available. So recognize that, and it's okay, right? It's just the way it is. So if you've got 1%, then take that 1% and use the book to guide you through the process and improve. And it might be very slow, but that's okay, right? It's not a race. Remember the tortoise and the hare, right? And
Right.
so
Yeah. Okay.
slow and steady is better than fast, and then you get frustrated and burned out and this doesn't work, and then you put it aside and never get back to it. That would be the worst thing. So take it slow and steady. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah. So I'm wondering here, what makes you an authority on this? Like, why is it that you think you can be telling all of us what to do with our lives or recommending to us? What makes you have an experience? What experience do you bring to the table here?
Well, at first it was totally luck, I suppose. I started working in a not-for-profit health center back in 1983 when I was still going to school. And it was a wonderful organization that served vulnerable populations. And I knew it was important, but it wasn't until I left there after about 6 years, and I went to work for an organization that had no sense of mission or purpose that I could, but it was a good job. And I realized working there how important it was to me that what I was doing was making a difference in people's lives, was having a positive impact. And I really spent the rest of my career working with populations who are more vulnerable, have fewer resources, and striving to help them, right, make their lives better, primarily in primary care or healthcare services.
Mm-hmm.
And so that focus is really where I've spent my energy and my research. And so if you look at it, it's been millions of dollars and thousands of people that I've been able to work with to try to help people just understand what are the challenges and the barriers and how do we help people to overcome those. And then, like I said earlier, in 2018, I had this epiphany about as we were designing this, what I thought was going to be the world's leading integrated primary care center. We could have the best people, we could have the best physical structure, the best design, the best computer systems, all these things. But unless we work smarter with people, our patients, our participants, then we're going to limit our success. We're going to limit our effectiveness and our impact. And I wanted to have, the most positive impact that we could. And it was really in that process, this epiphany came up. And so I don't know if that qualifies me. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a professor someplace at a university, but I've spent my life trying to serve and help other people. And I feel blessed that I've had this kind of wow moment that has led me down this path. And so I just hope it's helpful.
Yeah. So I'm a little curious if there's sort of like one big takeaway from the book that you want people to have. What would you say that one thing would be, just sort of short and sweet?
I think it is that most of us, it seems, have ceded the leadership of our life to others. And I really think that's the core, the nut of the book, is that we all should be the captains of our lives. And I don't mean that in a hardcore, kind of rigid way, but that nobody else is responsible for your life, for my life. And the book is really designed to help you be in charge of leading your own life and providing the tools to help you to do that. I try to avoid hyperbole. So what's a big word? So, which is the sense of people making really big promises. So I have a person I know, not very well, but anyways, he wrote a book. And it's like, you'll be a millionaire and, you'll have great relationships. You'll marry a movie star and all this kind of stuff. You'll be on top of the world. And the fact is that most of us are not going to be rich. Most of us are not going to be famous. And it's okay, right? I mean, it is okay. And so, but what we want to do is to live our own life, though. Not the life that our parents wanted for us or somebody else wants for us, right? We want to be in charge of our own life. And we want to do that in a way that aligns with correct principles, enduring principles. So for example, if we ignore the laws of gravity and we step off the cliff, what's going to happen? Disaster, right? Bad things. We cannot ignore nature's laws, thermodynamics, gravity, all that stuff. If I sit out in the sun too long, I'm going to get sunburned and I'll have to suffer the consequences. It's the same with human beings. There are enduring principles that guide what happens in our lives. And we want to align ourselves with those, just like we want to align ourselves with the natural principles. And that's what this book does, is tries to introduce 10 core foundational principles that align us with the way life works, with the way relationships work, and hopefully help us to be more effective.